Hello everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, hello there. How's it going? Who's ready for a wet qualifying? Only seconds away, guys. Seconds away until it starts. Hello, hello. Yes, apologies. I wasn't here the 15 minutes prior to the session that I was hoping for. Those errands overrun a little bit longer than they should have done. So, yeah. When is Mini Stuffey going to join you? She's due in October. So, yeah. Yeah, that's when 2 become 3. But here we go. So, yeah, the big shock, guys, is that it's wet. It's wet. Green light. Go, go, go. It's green lights and it's wet conditions, which means anything can happen. I say wet conditions, it's damp conditions. There's 63% humidity. The likes of Lewis Hamilton will be hoping for this. The likes of Lando and Piastri would not have been hoping for this. So, yeah, let's see how this session unfolds. It could be dry by the time we get to Q3 when it all matters. But, yeah, let's see who goes out in Q1, shall we? Oh, I know, yeah. Have I thought a Mini Stuffey name yet? Yeah, we have a name. We do have a name. We're not calling her by that name because, you know, if you keep calling her by that name, by the time she's born, you go, no, I don't see it now, because you may change your mind when you actually see them in person. So, yeah. Hey, Warren, good to see you. Mark, let us at this stage say goodbye to Stroll and Perez. Yeah, well, Perez needs to pull his finger out. He's probably the most under pressure driver on the grid right now. So let's see what he does. Of course, this is a tight track, similar-ish to like Monaco in regards to tightness, not a lot of space. So drivers need to be alert, that is for sure, when it comes to traffic, because otherwise there could be some penalties dished out for the grid positions tomorrow. Hey, Kelvin. No one pre-ordered a track that cold. No, well, it was 60 degrees. It was double the track temperature on Friday, FP1. So the fact of it's now half that is crazy. But what that will benefit is that will benefit the likes of Mercedes, who like their car to run in cooler conditions. So, yeah, everyone's out there on slicks. It is like damp conditions out there. Well, it says normal grip conditions, actually. But I think there's still a couple of areas a little bit slick. So, yeah, let's see how it gets on. But Nico Hulkenberg, who was quick, by the way, earlier on in FP3. Of course, we don't know what engine modes drivers are running. What? Hang on. Track is okay for slick tyres, is what Bottas has reported. So, yeah, I mean, this could change again. We know what Hungary's like. We have seen rain come down throughout a session before. So, yeah, but at the moment it is dry. And that is definitely what the likes of McLaren will be hoping for, because they definitely seem to be the team to beat, especially Lando Norris. Of course, don't write off Oscar Piastri. Only 0.04 of a second behind his teammate in FP3 when they did their quali runs. So, yeah, let's see. But Nico Hulkenberg is going to be the driver to set the benchmark here. He did very well in FP3. So here he goes around the last corner. His teammate's going slightly quicker than him, though. And a 120.5 for Nico Hulkenberg. And a 119 from Magnussen. So that is slow. Bearing in mind we saw 117. We saw Lando's time was a 116.9, I think it was, a 116.8. Him and Oscar Piastri. So that is quite slow at the moment. The track is understandably a lot slower because of the colder conditions. Watching Ollie's Spa 24 hours. I watched the start of it, yeah, and he managed to. He didn't get a good quality, did he? But he managed to survive. Yeah, Spa 24 hours is carnage. I'm looking forward to the montages that come from that race this weekend. It's always a good laugh. But Sonoda 118.4, good time from him. As Albano up there with a 118.3. He's been sneakily good here this weekend. Let's keep an eye out on the Williams. Oh my God, Logan Sargent, a 117.7, 6 tenths faster than Albon. So what we are going to see, I think, is we're going to see drivers out there for multiple laps, guys, because it's colder conditions. The tyres are not going to be into their peak window of operation till probably about 3 laps. I reckon, the third flying lap, I reckon. So, yeah, I think we're going to see a busy Q1, that's for sure, and we could see some shocks. Thank you for doing the streams. Oh, my pleasure, Emma. I love bringing these watch-alongs to you, and the big thank you to everyone who keeps tuning into them. So, yeah, we've got a great community going on here, and yeah, I love having these back and forths. I do want to... Oscar Piastri at the top. That's what we like to see. And Norris, second, 2.5 tenths back from his teammate. Of course, for them, it's just about getting through. Signs, purples everywhere, although Hamilton's just taken purple in P1. But, yeah, guys, what I want to do is... a bit different to kind of like your race review, which kind of everyone does. I want to pose like a Q&A. I know we have a bit of a Q&A after the race, but a lot of information comes out after the race once we are able to soak in everyone's like interviews and stuff. And I want to do kind of a Q&A, ask you guys for some questions for you to propose to me, and I want to put that into kind of a video on a Monday for me to put together for you guys to be able to listen to. So stay tuned for that. I'll be putting out a post on the community page for you to ask your questions to me about what's occurred in the race. But let's go. Hamilton, fastest in the first and second sector. Let's see where he goes. And he's gone to the top. And interestingly, not fastest in the last sector, which belonged to Piastri. But a 117.0 is the fastest lap time. That is already 6 tenths faster than what Lewis Hamilton did in FP3. So the cooler conditions, much better. As Logan Sargent's gone off at turn 1. Logan Sargent issues at turn 1. Yellow flag. He's not moving. Has he gone straight on and lost control of the car and crashed? Or is he able to, or is he just spun and get the car moving again? He is moving. There you go. He's trudging away slightly. There's a big runoff down there already, Charlie. I know. We jokingly said it yesterday. Look, if Sargent is on, if Sargent's on track, there's a safety car and a yellow flag. Anything is possible. But I'm waiting. It looks like he's probably just. I reckon it was big lock-up down into turn 1, and he probably just lost control of the car. Unless it is raining. Unless it is. Is it raining? Is it raining, Warren? Or is it just Logan? Is it just Logan being Logan? I'm still waiting for TV coverage to catch up, but that's a good lap time from Lewis in the cooler conditions. That is already 6 tenths faster than what he did in FP3. Of course, he had his own spin, Lewis Hamilton, in FP3. So, yeah. Just looking. Martin Brundle went, there is grip out there. Oh, somebody's off. Where is Logan Sargent? They're still not showing it. They have been so slow to TV directions in showing incidents this weekend. It has been shocking. Absolutely shocking. Looks like Logan Sargent's car is okay. He's going quite slowly around the circuit, but he's probably just done a massive lockup. They're still not showing it. TV direction. See, guys, you're not missing anything by not being able to watch the TV direction because they don't show you the interesting things anyway. So, Alonso heads up into P4. Sargent is still P6, by the way. Charles Leclerc down in P16. P16, Charles Leclerc. But you can see drivers only now just coming into the pit lane. So we're getting 2 flying laps, really, from drivers rather than the actual one. But Sargent's car is not okay. It has Sargent in it. After Silverstone, Lewis will be very hungry. He will. Of course, he had to make... no doubt he probably made changes to his setup in the interim. But let's have a look. Logan Sargent down into turn 1. DRS open. Oh, he locked all 4 wheels. Wow. Oh, and he did hit the barrier with his front wing. He locked all 4 wheels. Proper smoke. Proper smoke. Just watch him. Oh my God, those tyres are effed. And he did hit the barrier, so no doubt he would have front wing damage. He will have front wing damage. But we've still got the Mercedes drivers out there. Verstappen, only P3. 2 tenths behind Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton giving a toe to George Russell there, did you see? That was interesting. George Russell being given the toe by George Russell. Let's see what George is able to do. Currently in the worrisome, just above the drop zone by a couple of hundredths. Thank you, Daniel, for the sub. Much appreciated. We do have the alerts on today, so the alert noises. But yes, let's see George Russell. So his first sector time is green. It's 6th fastest at the moment. So that will be good enough if he is able to do the remainder of this circuit with this pace. But you can see there, look, Lando Norris 6.5 tenths back. Oscar Piastri 4 tenths back. This track is going to ramp up unless it gets damper, unless it gets wetter, which I don't think it is at the moment. Although the rise in humidity there has gone up a few percent to 69, up from 63, I think it was at the start of this session. So Hamilton looking strong again, Connor. Yeah, well, much cooler conditions, isn't it? Much cooler conditions for the Mercedes. And you would think that he's made some setup changes. The car looked so snappy in the mid-corner. Obviously, he had that spin, didn't he, through turn 10. So through turn 9 and 10. So yeah, looking much more planted. I mean, that's 6 tenths faster than the lap that he set in FP3. So Lewis did a great lap 1 for P1. Yes, yeah, I think that's a banker. I think also Sainz and Verstappen. Norris, I think is. I mean, Logan Sargent's there at six tenths back. He's basically set an identical lap time to Lando Norris. So Lando Norris is definitely at risk. Actually, I think all drivers are going to have to go out and do another lap time, unless the rain starts to come down. I do think we're going to see... I mean, it looks like there's quite evidently a dry line forming. But George Russell... Oh, wow. George Russell had to pull out of his middle sector. So just watching the replay. And George Russell, had a big snap on entry into turn 9 and had to bail out of the lap. So George Russell not able to really cope with these conditions at the moment. He looked... And there's a yellow in sector. Oh, Perez... Oh no! Sergio Perez has brought out the yellow flag at turn number 8, and it's a red flag! Sergio Perez, the driver we've mentioned, whose seat is at risk, is the most under-pressure driver on this grid as it stands, and he has had the worst possible scenario. The medical car is deployed and he is off at turn 8 in this Q1 session, and no doubt Sergio Perez is going to end up out of Q1 once again, and surely his seat is at risk. Surely he is out of that Red Bull seat come the summer break, because this is just unacceptable for a driver who is in one of, if not the fastest car on the grid. Unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable. F in the chat for Sergio Perez, please. F in the chat, because how can you physically just defend this? How can you defend this? You can't defend this. This is unbelievable. And, he's proper binned it as well. Sergio has proper binned it. The car is smoking, the engine smoking, the rear is ruined. He has proper lost it. And Christian Horner, they pan to Christian Horner, and Christian's just gone, that is your drive, over and done with. I can't believe it. I genuinely cannot believe it. His head is dipped in shame. He says, I'm okay. Well... Your seat's not okay, Sergio. Your seat is not okay, because that is going to be filled by either an Australian or a New Zealander, that is for sure. It should be filled by a Japanese driver, but I don't think it's going to be. So let's have a look. Sergio Perez through the chicane. This is okay, but where we saw George Russell lose control of the car and he gets on the curb. So he gets on the curb on entry on the outside, and the rear just goes round him as he's on throttle, and that is just unacceptable. It's still, while there's a dry line forming, the curbs, the painted line is still wet, and that is just unacceptable of a driver of Sergio Perez's experience. Unbelievable. Would RB? I don't think, Adrian, I don't think Sergio Perez is even going to be in that RBC. I think they're going to get rid of him. I think Daniel Ricciardo, I think Liam Lawson's coming in regardless. It depends on what seat he's going to end up in. That's going to be either the RB car or the main team alongside Max Verstappen. But I personally think Sergio Perez is out of that Red Bull seat and out of Red Bull entirely, and he will have to look for a seat for the remainder of. Well, he might be fortunate that Williams might take that opportunity and transfer him in for Logan Sargent, or he's going to have to sit out for next year. But I think that right there is just now in the coffin. Now in the coffin for him. So, unbelievable. Perez just destroyed the Red Bull rocket everyone was hyped about. Yeah. I don't feel bad for Checo at all. I don't feel bad for him because it's all of his own doing. He hasn't got anyone else to blame but himself. You could feel sorry for him if the car was not performing and he was crashing because of the mechanical issues with the car. It's all because he hasn't been up to par. And Martin Brundle is saying, I feel sorry for him. I don't feel sorry for him whatsoever. Use your experience. Don't drive over the bloody wet curb. Simple as. You cannot feel sorry for a driver who's this is all his own doing. Sorry. That's just me. I'm harsh, but this is supposed to be the premier series of motorsport. We want the best drivers in F1, and Perez is currently not suitable and fast enough and good enough to be in that Red Bull alongside Max Verstappen. Simple. Simple. Oh, I'm raging. I'm raging at Sergio. I'm raging at him. But he'll still be in F1. He might not be on the grid for the rest of the year, but he'll still be in F1 because he brings so much money. And a team like Williams would love the money that Sergio brings. And he'll probably do well in a Williams because he'll be able to drag an underperforming car. Like, he's better in a team, in an underdog team. That's where he's better, where he can go back to managing the tyres and trying to do things on strategy rather than be in a top team and try and get the pace out of it because he's just not there. He's just not there. So, size to Red Bull? No. We mentioned this earlier. Not while Max Verstappen is there. Their two dads seriously cannot get on. The parents cannot get on. How much time to Q2? Who knows, Boldo? Who knows? Because unlike practice sessions, they pause the time for a red flag in qualifying. So, yeah, they're going to be repairing that barrier and making sure it's secure. But yeah, that is just a pure driver error from Sergio Perez, and I cannot believe it's him when he's so under pressure. But that's what drivers do. That's what some drivers do. Some people in sports, in any sport, they rise to the pressure. They love the pressure. Some of them don't. Some people fold underneath it, and quite evidently Sergio does. So, meanwhile, Horner grabs the paper shredder ready for the contract. Yeah. So, Lewis's chances just got better. Yes. So, apparently, I've just been informed as well through Sky TV that they're saying the track isn't getting any better, but it's not getting worse. So, yeah. We'll see. Blackshot Perez is just doing his thing, getting crashed out. That's a goodbye for the seat. Yeah, you cannot, at a circuit where qualifying, this isn't as bad as Monaco, but it's like Monaco. There's a lot of similarities, and you very, very rarely are going to not make it through to Q1 and finish high in the points or finish in the points, because there's a lot that you have to do. Because even if you're in a much faster car, there's only realistically one overtaking opportunity. Turn 2 is an overtaking opportunity, but you need a real big tyre delta to make use of that extra grip to make an overtaking to turn 2. We see every now and then an overtaking to turn 4, but if you can't make an overtake down into turn 1, it's highly likely that you're going to be stuck behind a slower car for the remainder of the lap, and you just lose so much time. And that's why, yeah, it's important to have a strong qualifying here. Make Logan and Perez the driver pair for Red Bull. Track isn't changing with nobody on. It's a shocker. No, but what they're saying, Bailey, what they're saying is that the track isn't getting, even when cars were on the track, it wasn't particularly getting any quicker to, especially with the slick tyres, to ensure that there's going to be an increase in or a decrease in lap time. So So I think what they're trying to indicate is that Lewis Hamilton's time is going to be good. But Daniel Ricciardo's at risk there, Stroll, Magnussen, Zhou, and Hulkenberg, which is intriguing. So, but session's going to restart in a few minutes' time, guys. 22 minutes past, so you have time to go grab your drink and grab a coffee, grab a top-up before this session gets underway. But if you are just joining us, welcome, welcome. Much appreciated. Over 100 likes in the stream already. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And, well, Sergio Perez, the driver who is most under pressure, where there's been so much talk about clauses and performance clauses in his contract, is under risk of being replaced, as Red Bull have done with other drivers in the past, to their main team, has just binned it in Q1 and is out of this session. And no doubt, I expect everyone below Perez to improve. He may be super, super fortunate that he gets through, but I don't think so. I don't think he's set a good enough time. Maybe if he was around Verstappen's time and Sainz's time around the top, potentially, but not with a time there in P9. I think he's definitely going to be out of Q1. But yeah. When will it start again? In a couple of minutes. Well, less than a couple of minutes now. 22 minutes past. 22 minutes on the hour, wherever you are in the world. Just turn my fan on. Hang on. But that is just unacceptable, isn't it? Unacceptable. Unacceptable. So, yeah. Who will be... Let's run a poll, shall we? We know who's in poll. We know who we all think is going to be in pole, and let's just end that. I'm going to run another one. I'm intrigued to see what everyone thinks. So 35% of you think Norris is going to be on pole. Oh, 28% either Russell or Hamilton, and it's close between Verstappen. Interesting. But I'm going to run this one. And I'm intrigued to see... Oh, hang on. Now I'm not including a certain Japanese driver in this poll because I just don't, unfortunately, see it happening, and it's a real shame. But this is clearly what a lot of people and what the rumours are. It's either going to be Ricciardo or Lawson for the Red Bull seat. I'm intrigued to see what everyone's thoughts are on not who you would like to see. This isn't who you would like to see. It's just who you think will be in the Red Bull seat. Out of Ricciardo and Lawson, who do you think will be in the Red Bull seat? If Marco was doing his job, then he would have by now signed a Mexican driver instead of keeping an old Aussie driver. Neither will get that seat. You think, Jarb? Who do you think will get that seat then? I'm intrigued. If you don't think Ricciardo or Lawson is going to get that seat, who do you think will get it? Ricciardo has info on Horner, you think? Realistically, Ricciardo, Danny is washed. I haven't included Yuki because I don't think Yuki is going to get it. That's the problem. I think he should, but I don't think he will. I just don't see... I think Red Bull just don't see him as part of the Red Bull team anymore, even though he's there for an extra year. I think because their relationship with Honda is no more, I think they're keeping Yuki for kind of selfish reasons to not allow him to go to another team. So, yeah. But I think Yuki deserves it out of anyone. I think Lawson should be in F1, and I think Lawson should be in the RB car instead of Ricciardo. But, yeah, I just got a feeling Ricciardo's going to be that man to go up into the top seat because he gets on well with Max. There's also that as well, guys. Do you want a hot shot, a young gun to go in alongside Max? Or do you want someone who's kind of got a good reputation, he's commercially viable, gets on really well with Max? I think for all those reasons, other than his driving, I think he's the driver. I think Ricciardo's the one who's going to be alongside Max. So, why do I think Lawson instead of Rick? Because Lawson has been doing some tyre testing for Red Bull, and the strong rumours are that Liam Lawson may be promoted straight into the seat alongside Max rather than Daniel Ricciardo or Yuki. That's why. I don't think it should happen. I think he should go straight in at the RB team. But yeah. Interesting, 61%, 60% of you think Ricciardo. It's floating around 60 to 40% for Ricciardo and Lawson. So interesting. But here we go. Clock is ticking again. Yes, we have drivers out on circuit. Albon is on a lap. He is back out there. George Russell, who is at risk, had to bail out of one of his laps after a big old snap through the same corner that Sergio Perez lost it, turn 9. So let's see what Albon can do. Currently in P11. Currently being out-qualified by his teammate, Logan Sargent, who's already had a trip to the barriers, only very lightly down into turn 1. But let's see. It is still slippery out there. There is a bit of a dry line forming out on circuit, but you have to be careful with the white line and the curbs, as Sergio Perez and Logan Sargent found out. Of course, Logan Sargent not as severely as Sergio Perez, who we've lost from this session. So, no doubt, let's keep an eye on Sergio Perez in P9. He will not be running anymore, but he could potentially still make it through Q1 by the skin of his teeth. I don't think so. But let's see, Albon. So, he's on his out lap. Apologies. George Russell is on an out lap as well. Yeah, on an out lap as well. So, let's see. So, Albon is going to be the first one through. Zhou, Guan Yu, and Valtteri Bottas are also on. Bottas is on used tyres. Zhou is on brand new tyres, or one lap tyres. They're on the same tyres because of what happened last time out with Sergio Perez. So they came in and didn't do a full lap. But interesting, Hamilton's back out there. Hamilton is back out there. Let's see what tyres he's on. Is he on used or is he on new? That's intriguing. You reckon Bottas will retire from F1 the next 1 to 2 years? If he can't get a seat for next year, rumours are that it could be Williams. But if he doesn't get a seat for next year, I think he'll be out. Yeah, I think he'll be out of F1. Lewis Hamilton is on the same set of tyres he was on before. Well, that he set his current lap on, the 17.0. So that's interesting. Verstappen's out as well. But let's keep an eye on Albon. So is he improving? Albon is not improving on his time. A 28.2 last time around, and he did a 28.8 there. So a very slow lap time for Albon in the first sector, and the second sector is also slow. Not any improvement from him. So I think he's bowed out of this. He's very, very slow, Albon. So maybe he's just going for another prep lap. We'll see. But Zhou Guanyu is improving, slow in the first sector, but improving in the second sector. George Russell, similar as well. Looks like there's not a lot of grip in that first sector. Lando Norris, the only driver to improve. Oh, sorry, that's an old lap, sorry. He's not even out on circuit. But Zhou Guanyu does improve with an 18.5, but that's only enough to still keep him in 19th. Bottas did a 120.2, so not a good lap from him either. Albon is, well, George Russell fastest in the last sector, but only good enough to put him 10th. Still behind Sergio Perez, who is out of this session already and definitely will not be improving. Let's see how is Max. Max is on his out lap, so we'll see how he gets on when he comes around. But it does look like there's not a lot of grip in that first sector. No one is improving at the moment who's been on a flying lap. We'll see if anyone else, who was it? So Zhou and Bottas didn't improve. Albon didn't improve. George Russell didn't improve either. It looks like the first sector is about 4 tenths slower at the moment than it was before the red flag came out for Sergio Perez at the start of this session. So the likes of Sargent might actually be okay, or everyone up from Russell might be okay, because no one's really able to improve substantially through that first sector. We did see George Russell post a purple in the last sector, so maybe it's drier in the last sector at the top of the track rather than it is at the lower section. So we'll see if that is the case. So let's keep an eye on Max. Max is out there. Currently P3 at the moment. He's on a flying lap. He's on used tyres though, 7 laps old. So might not be green, but we'll see. A 28.3 from Max, and last time around it was a 27. It was a 28.0. So yes, As I just said, it's about 3 to 4 tenths slower in that first sector, it seems, at the moment than it was earlier on. So the drivers really need to try and improve over the middle and last sector. But look at that traffic at the end there as Max Verstappen is approaching the last sector. You can see there Sargent, Alonso, Piastri, Magnussen, Norris and Hamilton getting ready for the laps as Max goes purple in the middle sector on a set of 7-lap-old tyres. So the first sector is slow, but the rest of the circuit, where it's a lot higher in altitude, is doing a lot better. So Max Verstappen round the last corner. Let's see what lap time he does. He does a 17.2 last time out, and he does a 17.0. Exactly the same time as Lewis Hamilton. Exactly the same time. And there was checkered flag as well. So I think a couple of drivers were able to take the flag there and set a lap. So the likes of Ocon and Gasly are not back out there. Leclerc improves and puts himself up into P4. Stroll up to 4th. He drags himself up out of the drop zone. Daniel Ricciardo is at risk, but Daniel Ricciardo across the line. Does he improve? He goes fastest, Daniel Ricciardo, on a set of brand new tyres. You are not... Just as Sergio Perez has lost the car and is out of this Q1 session. Well, he might not be out of this Q1 session, but Albon through into P5, Hulkenberg into P6. It's changing ever so quickly. George Russell could be out here. All he needs is one more driver to improve. George Russell and Sergio Perez, 14th and 15th. He is potentially going to be out of this session. Oh, Zhou Guanyu goes into 16th. George Russell, it's all down to Valtteri Bottas, and George Russell is out of Q1 there in 16th position. Lewis Hamilton comes round the corner and sets a P2 lap time. He did set a purple first middle sector on a set of old softs, and Sergio Perez gets demoted and is out of Q1. It was so close. Sergio Perez might have snuck into Q2 there, but at the end, at the death, he has been pushed out by Kevin Magnussen as Perez is out of this session, rightfully so. He's the only driver to lose control of his car, but George Russell and Sergio Perez are out of Q1. Two big scalps here in this Q1 session, and Lewis Hamilton will out-qualify George Russell for the first time in a long time. As well, that's a real surprise for George Russell. What has happened there? It's really flipped on its head, but George has not been able to get the best out of this car. From the practice session in these cooler conditions, Lewis Hamilton definitely coming much more alive with that Mercedes than George Russell, who was, you would say, more on top in the warmer conditions. But wow, Logan Sargent is through. Logie Bear is through to Q1, through to Q2. Lando Norris tightly packed in there as well in P13. McLaren risked it. They didn't even send him back out there. Neither did Oscar Piastri. But they got through in the end. And, well, Daniel Ricciardo putting his foot down when it matters. That is a statement from him. Of course, it is on brand new softs. But to be that far ahead of his teammate Yuki Tsunoda in P8 and just after Sergio Perez has binned it and is out of this Q1 session. Yeah. Give me that seat, Daniel Ricciardo saying. Give me that seat. The Alpines didn't even go back out there, so the Alpines not happy. They're not strong here this weekend. Really odd from them. This was a very poor race from them last year with a double DNF. So, yeah, not getting off to a good start here as well, considering Silverstone was also a poor race from them. Finally, no one to disturb. Look, he's cooking his lap, and he can finally focus. Yeah, so interesting there. DRS has now been enabled, so normal grip conditions. Q2 will start 36 minutes on the hour, so 4 minutes time, guys. 4 minutes time. So at the moment, it isn't raining, but it is still wet in areas. The curbs are wet, so you can't take too much of the curbs, as we saw from Sergio Perez. But interesting. George Russell out for 2 years in a row. Oh, did he not make it through to Q2 last year? Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, so let's have a look at the sector times, guys, in that session. And we can see here, well, this is the sector leaderboard, and you can see there that Lewis Hamilton is fastest in the first and second sector. It is only the last sector where he's 9th fastest, interestingly enough. A good 2 tenths back from Daniel Ricciardo, who was on a fresh set of softs in P1. So still time to improve for Lewis Hamilton. And for Max Verstappen as well, who was also around 1.5 tenths back from Daniel Ricciardo in P1 there. So, yeah, Hamilton and Verstappen looking very good. Of course, Norris only did that banker lap, didn't go out there again. So that's why he is where he is in 8th, 3rd, and 18th, interestingly enough. Wow, he's very low down in Sector 3. But Sergio Perez there, look, 12th. Actually, let's have a look at George Russell. So George Russell was 9th in the first sector. He was 18th in the second, which is the sector he was really struggling with. Just couldn't find the grip, losing control of the rear of the car, and he had to bail out on his on one of the laps just before Sergio Perez spun out of control with the car. And then he's quite quick in the last sector, George Russell, but not been able to put it all together, and that is why he's out in this Q1 session. So 2 big scalps of Sergio Perez, and, well, is Perez a big scalp? Is he a big scalp? I don't know. I don't know. Why is no Yuki in the pole, Aaron? Because I just don't think Yuki's going to get that seat. I just don't see it happening. I do think it's between Ricciardo and Lawson because they're part of the Red Bull system. And while Yuki's been extended for a year, I don't think they see him long term in the Red Bull system. So, yeah. I'm going to end that poll. I am going to end that poll. And 63% of you think Ricciardo, 36% say Lawson. So I do think it's going to be Ricciardo as well. And look, he's got an opportunity this race and next race to prove himself. He'll be seeing it now as an opportunity to beat Yuki and to ultimately beat Perez, which isn't kind of hard to do. And yeah, see what he could do and say, I want that seat. Yuki doesn't bring enough money. We won't anymore, so we know why he's got initially promoted early. Because of the Honda connection, they wanted a Japanese driver. So Yuki was probably promoted a bit too early into that AlphaTauri seat at the time. And now, of course, Honda, now he's coming good, Yuki. The Honda partnership is ending. So they're kind of not, Red Bull aren't kind of like looking to promote Yuki. So that's why I don't think he was kind of ever really part of that Red Bull system. I think he was always there because of Honda, unfortunately. But he's putting the laps in, so. Do I think Max will go to Merc? I do think he'll go to Merc, yeah. I don't think any driver is really, truly committed to any team. Just look at Lewis. Who would have thought Lewis would leave Mercedes? Ever. And he's now going to Ferrari. They want to be in the best car, and you might have loyalty to teams and to people, whatever, and get on well with them. But ultimately, drivers want to be in the best team in the best car. And the rumours are that the Ford engine, which will be part of 2026 for Red Bull, is not going well. There's obviously signs that they're not too happy. And yeah, his team have been having conversations with Mercedes. So here we go, guys. Here we go. Q2 underway. Let's go. Who is going to be? Are we going to see some other scalps? Some other drivers who we don't expect to get through to Q3 get through? Hulkenberg did very well to drag himself from the bottom of the timing sheets up to P6 in the end. Albon going well also. My opinion on Ferrari. They've gone back. I wouldn't say they've necessarily gone backwards, but they haven't made the strides forwards that we'd expect them to. And that's the problem, is that their upgrades haven't been upgrades. They haven't made the car better, or it's just as it was. And the other teams have progressed forward on that upward trend, and Ferrari haven't. They've stayed stagnant. And that's the thing in F1. You can't stay stagnant. Otherwise, teams will overtake you and catch you up. So, Stroll's about his health. Do I like Drive to Survive? I don't mind it, yeah. I would like it to go back to the same format it was initially in the first 2 seasons, where it was more in chronological order and it was more about seeing the actual stuff we didn't see behind the scenes and that. I think now it's a little bit too much drama and forced. And I don't like kind of the backwards and forwards they go through with the episodes. I think keep it in chronological order from start to finish throughout a season. I think that's the best way to do it. But yeah, I'd like it. It gives you some insight into things that happen off track. But it's not as good as it used to be, I think, so. They tried to get cute with the upgrades. I don't think they got cute with them. I think they've just... I think there's definitely been some some teams where their wind tunnel data hasn't been translating to the track. And Ferrari could be one of those. I think Mercedes and Aston Martin, who share a wind tunnel, were victim to that as well for a period of time. So, yeah, how they've been setting up their wind tunnel hasn't been correlating to what's actually been seen out on track. So, whereas I think McLaren, who now have their own wind tunnel, Red Bull have their own wind tunnel, they have been able to do that. So, I think that shows. Sector times, we'll show you afterwards. We'll show you afterwards racing. At the moment, not really. You can see the sector times here of their last lap, which is Sainz at the moment, who's sitting purple everywhere because he's the only driver out there. He's on used tyres, 11-lap-old tyres. Interestingly, I'll keep you up to date, but he is fastest in the first sector out of anyone thus far with a 27.9. So, yeah, he is improving here. Loses a bit of time in the middle, but let's see what time he sets. And he sets a 1:17.0, so that's the fastest time that we saw. 17.0 was the fastest time that we saw in Q1, wasn't it? So, Lewis Hamilton out on the set of used as well. Who else is out there on used? Leclerc's out on used. Everyone's out there on used apart from Verstappen, who's on brand new tyres. Alonso is pretty much going to be on new tyres as well. Yep, he's on new. Piastri is theoretically on new tyres, only 1 lap old. Norris as well. Well, he's on used technically, so he would have bowed out of his lap, I think, when Perez was doing his lap. So, wonder why so many teams have had issues. Yeah, I don't know. I do know that the issue with the porpoising, the reason why every team couldn't see porpoising was because in the wind tunnel, the arm that holds onto the model, which is about a third of it's about a quarter of the size of an F1 car. It's held with a mechanical arm from the top, from the T-bar, and of course that's not allowing the car to run on the track that it's got in the wind tunnel naturally. So you don't see the porpoising. That's why all the teams had porpoising issues apart from Red Bull, when it came to the circuit. So. Sorry, but the way I see it, Mercedes has to focus on Lewis, which wasn't what it was before. I disagree. If I was Toto Wolff, I could understand why you'd focus on George Russell. George Russell is the driver who is going to be your number 1 next year, not Lewis. So why would you focus too much on Lewis? I wouldn't completely shun Lewis though, but I would make Lewis aware. Look, when push comes to shove, I'm going to be favouring George more over you because you're on your way out, mate. As much as we get on, so. Right, so Lewis Hamilton, let's see. So Max Verstappen is on brand new tyres, so that's why he's 3 tenths faster than Lewis in the first sector and faster in the middle sector as well. But this is still good from Lewis. He was setting purple times, other than Max taking it away from him, and he is 4 tenths faster, nearly half a second faster than Carlos Sainz. But there was 2 laps difference in tyre usage with Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. But Max Verstappen is going to go to the top of the timing sheets here on a brand new set of tyres, and he goes top with a 15.7, so 7.5 tenths, or just over 7.5 tenths faster than Lewis Hamilton, who is on, well, 10 lap older tyres pretty much than Max Verstappen. So that's why there's such a big time difference there. But Sainz is now back out on a fresh set of softs. We can see Oscar Piastri going quite nicely as well, but still down in time on that first sector to Max Verstappen. Magnussen on a brand new set, pretty much a brand new set of softs, goes 3rd fastest with 5 lap used tyres. Stroll on pretty much brand new tyres as well, up into P2, 7 tenths back from Max Verstappen, so definitely not a lot of pace in that. But wow, Piastri, 15 hundredths of a second between Piastri and Verstappen there on the same set of tyres. So, yeah, Oscar Piastri looking good in these dry conditions. Alonso up into P3 on brand new set of tyres. 4 tenths, just under 4 tenths back from Max Verstappen. Sargent up into 9th. Leclerc is out there on a brand new set of softs as well. Let's see Carlos Sainz, how Carlos Sainz gets on. So Leclerc on a brand new set of softs. This does a 27.7, so that's only 7th fastest at the moment out of anyone. We'll see how he gets on as he heads through the tight, twisty middle sector, through turn 8, where Sergio Perez lost control of the car on that curve and put him into the barrier and out of this Q1 session. But we're into Q2 now. Let's see as Hamilton is into the pit lane, no doubt coming out in for a fresh set of softs. Charles Leclerc through the second sector at 26.9, so sub 27 seconds, but still only 6th fastest, slower than Fernando Alonso, as Lando only goes P4, which is, I expected more from Lando, I expected more, but Charles Leclerc coming around the last corner now, where can he go, how much can he improve? And Sainz goes fastest in the first sector, and Leclerc only goes 5th fastest on a pretty much a brand new set of tyres, and he's 6 tenths back from Max Verstappen. But Sainz seems to be going much, much better. Fastest in the first sector out of anyone. He seems to be much more in control of this Ferrari this weekend than Charles Leclerc, who has already had his own wobbles and worries and trips to the barrier in FP2 yesterday at turn 4. Maybe he's just suffering with a bit of lack of commitment and confidence. Sainz not fastest in the middle sector, but 3rd fastest, so only slightly slower then Max Verstappen. Let's see how he gets on through the last couple of corners. Was he impeded there by Tsunoda? Did it affect him at all? On a fresh set of tyres, he'll have that grip, keeping it tight out of turn 14 and across the line, and he goes P3, 1/10th back from Oscar Piastri and just over a 10th back from Max Verstappen. So losing a bit of time in the middle sector and last sector there to Max and Oscar, which is why he is just over a 10th back. But a lot closer than I thought the Ferrari of Sainz would be. But Leclerc, still a lot to be still a lot needed from him. With 6 tenths back from Verstappen and half a second back from his teammates. So that's not ideal, is it? Lando isn't showing everything. No, not yet. Not yet, probably. No. There is something behind me. Greatness. Your crushes if Leclerc gets P1. Rick just vanished again. He's in the pits. He hasn't. I think he's probably only got 1 set of tyres to use. So they probably didn't bring him out. I don't think he actually came out and set any lap, did he? So unless he's got some technical issue that we don't know about, but I haven't heard anything. But so let's have a quick look at the sector times, guys, while it is only Carlos Sainz just trudging back to the pit lane. But we can see here that Carlos Sainz was fastest in the first sector, Verstappen fastest in the second, Alonso not doing too bad, 3rd fastest in the first sector, 6th fastest in the middle sector, and 4th fastest in the 3rd sector. Not bad from an underperforming Aston Martin. But we can see here Norris only 6th, 5th and 7th fastest across all sectors. Lewis Hamilton, a slow first sector, but he is on considerably old tyres. That's the only lap time he's set thus far. So not too bad from him in the first sector and the second sector. And, well, slow in the last sector also with that 21.7. So Piastri looking quite nicely. But you can see there Sainz with that fresh set of tyres faster than Piastri. So, yeah, interesting at the moment, guys. Interesting. What happened to George? Just couldn't get a lap time in. Didn't feel comfortable. Didn't feel good enough. And yeah, he's out of Q1. Boyce Lewis puts in magic at last. He does that sometimes, you know, like last year. Yeah, I mean, look, I still said after the issues he had in FP2, and kind of like he struggled for all the practice sessions. These cooler conditions do tend to lean themselves more to the Mercedes car rather than the hotter conditions. I do think Lewis would have taken and will still take 2nd row on this grid. I think he'll be aiming for top 4. If he can get pole, obviously he'd love to get pole, but I think he'd be happy with the 2nd row of the grid purely because of just you're still within an opportunity of the win if you start on the 2nd row, and he's had issues throughout the practice sessions really. The car hasn't looked stable. I don't know if he's made... no doubt, I would assume he'd make setup changes from the practice session FP3 to qualifying. He did spin it in qualifying as well. The car seemed to be very snappy on the rear through the middle of the corner throughout Friday and this morning. So, but the cooler conditions, yeah, seemed to favour the Mercedes car a bit better or more. Hence why they came alive in in Silverstone, and I think in these conditions he comes alive now. So yeah. What happened to Russell? Yeah, he's just out, just slow. Couldn't get a lap time in, kept making kind of mistakes, had to bail out of a lap. So yeah, he just couldn't take a quick enough time. And Sergio Perez, well, we know what Sergio did. Sergio binned it big time into turn 8. Driver error, getting onto a wet curb, and is out of Q1. So here we go. Lewis Hamilton is first out there. I don't think anyone's safe. I don't think anyone is safe here, even Verstappen and Piastri and Sainz. Maybe they might be, but I think anyone down from Alonso is definitely not safe. I think there's a lot of improvement here that can come, but let's see. Lewis Hamilton on fresh tyres. So is Leclerc, so is Norris, so is Alonso. We have yet to see Verstappen, Piastri and Sainz come back out, so they probably think they are safe. We'll see. Tsunoda, of course, not safe in P10. He's coming out as well on a fresh set of softs. Daniel Ricciardo is out, so yes, he probably only had one fresh set of softs available, and they probably wanted to save a set of used softs maybe for the race tomorrow as well. That's why they've not put him out again for that early run on a set of used tyres. But Lewis Hamilton on his flying lap now. So let's see how he gets on. His previous lap was done on 12-lap old tyres. So we do expect Hamilton to improve here through turn 2. Let's see how he gets on. Carlos Sainz moves out of the way for the flying Mercedes of Hamilton. The only Mercedes in this qualifying session now with George Russell out in Q1 as he heads through turn 4. And it is a 27.7 for Lewis Hamilton in the first sector. So that's still slow, really. That's still a couple of attempts off of the time of Sainz and Verstappen in the first sector. And interestingly enough, Lance Stroll has gone considerably quicker than Hamilton in the first sector. But where the Mercedes does claw it back is in this middle sector, it seems. Let's see, Lewis Hamilton through turn 10 here, into the quick right-hander of turn 11. Need to be careful of off-tracks there, as it's a 27.0 for Lewis. So not that quick from him, but it is only, you're talking a couple of hundredths of a second slower than his previous time. So Hamilton through turn 13 needs to pull his finger out here, really. Might not have got the tyre prep completely right with this fresh set of new tyres. And he comes across the finish line. And does he improve? He does, but only up into P6 with a 16.3. So that's not really a good enough lap time there for Lewis Hamilton as Lance Stroll goes up into P4. So Lewis Hamilton could be at risk here, guys. Not what the Mercedes driver of Lewis Hamilton wanted. Let's see, as Tsunoda is on his lap now as well. Sainz is back out there as Albon. So that's a driver that doesn't improve and pushes Lewis Hamilton down. Let's see, Logan Sargent in P13 as it stands. Only goes to P10. So Alex Albon slightly ahead of his teammate, but Sargent's at risk. Both Williams drivers at risk. Bottas is starting his lap now as well. 14 seconds to the start-finish line, so Hulkenberg will get across as well. Daniel Ricciardo goes into 6th and pushes Lewis Hamilton down again, and Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc is improving. Let's see if he pushes himself up. He does into P4, so Lewis Hamilton definitely at risk here. Lewis Hamilton definitely at risk as Lando Norris goes fastest in the middle sector out of anyone. Fernando Alonso could improve, but he won't push Lewis Hamilton down any further. But it is Yuki Tsunoda, it is Nico Hulkenberg, it is Tsunoda and Hulkenberg and Bottas who could push Lewis Hamilton down as Verstappen goes. Norris goes fastest out of anyone. Yuki Tsunoda is going green. Is it faster than Lewis Hamilton though? We will see. But Lewis is at risk. Tsunoda comes round the last corner. Is he going to improve and push Lewis Hamilton down, potentially out of this Q2 session? He does. So Lewis Hamilton, it's one more driver. It's solely on Bottas and it's Magnussen, Bottas and Hulkenberg. All three of them could push Lewis Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda out here as Lewis Hamilton has his lap time deleted for getting out on his in lap there. Here comes Valtteri Bottas. Is he going to push his old teammate out of this Q2 session? He doesn't. P11. Hamilton survives briefly. Nico Hulkenberg survives briefly once more. Nico Hulkenberg is to 11. Kevin Magnussen doesn't improve. And Lewis Hamilton, by the skin of his teeth, by 1/100th of a second, gets through to Q3. Lucky, lucky, lucky boy. Lucky boy. Hulkenberg went into P11. Bottas went into P11 and Magnussen didn't. Improved, but not enough. Lucky, lucky boy Lewis Hamilton there. Through by the skin of his teeth. But Yuki Tsunoda And Daniel Ricciardo through to Q3. Well done. Alonso and Stroll also getting through as well. The Aston Martin's pulling out a cracker of a time. But Lando Norris now showing the pace of that McLaren that we've seen all weekend. Up into P1, a 15.5. Let's see if he can stick it on pole here. Lewis Hamilton really didn't do well and prep those tyres properly enough and nearly paid the ultimate price of going out into Q2. So Lewis Hamilton there getting through just by 1/100th of a second, guys. Ooh. No, Lewis Hamilton was on fresh tyres as well. But we've seen that if you don't prep the tyres correctly here, you can suffer with a lack of grip. So I didn't see Lewis's time to see if he made a mistake anywhere. But yeah, if he did and he locked up somewhere, it's most likely because he didn't have the grip. So didn't have the temperature in them. Woo. Why are they going for the first lap before one prep lap, bro? I'm not sure. Not sure. What happened to Perez? The laugh says it all. The laugh says it all. He binned it. So I was watching Lewis Hamilton now to see exactly what happens. Oh, Lewis had so much oversteer. He had so much oversteer, really aggressive. Maybe got a bit of dirty air from a car that was in traffic. So not good. Not a good lap there from Lewis. I think it. What was it? The right hand. What corner was it? It was definitely a corner. Not entirely sure which corner it was, but there was a corner which Lewis Hamilton. I think it might have been turn 11 where he had some traffic and it looked like the dirty air really unsettled the rear of the car and he lost a lot of time. But we'll see. Lots still to happen here, guys. Thank you for the subs coming in, Rubens. Much appreciated. Anyone else who has subbed, if it hasn't shown up as an alert, sometimes it does that. But yes, we're in for an interesting Q3. Can Lando Norris put it on pole position? Can Oscar Piastri, can Max Verstappen dig deep once again and stick it on pole here at Hungary? Or will Lewis Hamilton dig deep also and surprise us at a circuit where he has been severely successful at? 8 previous time winner here. Can he make that 9 this weekend? We will see. Or can one of the Ferraris dig deep and drag an underperforming Ferrari up on that front row? We will see. Still a lot to play for here, guys, with Q3. 27,500 subs. Thank you, guys. Much appreciated. Over 2,000 viewers in here. If you could hit that like button, it'd be much appreciated. Let's get this to 500 likes, shall we? Hit that like button. Do I think Tsunoda should get a chance at the Red Bull second seat? I do. I do think he should get a chance of that second seat. However, I don't think he will. I think it will be Lawson or Ricciardo. Personally, I think Ricciardo. Just because he is very... Personally, just because he is very commercially viable. He gets on well with Max. And I think they know what they're going to get from him. So... thank you for the subs coming in. Thank you, guys. Much appreciated. Oh, I'm going to have to turn the alert box off now. Just the sounds. Just the sound. No, thank you for all the subs coming in, guys. Thank you. What's going on with the Mert this time? It looked like Lewis just had issues with grip. Looks like he had a bit of dirty air through turn 10 and really had to wrestle the car. Did well to get it back in control. And yeah, it was a bit too aggressive over the curbs for the chicane as well in turn 6 and 7. But yeah, we'll see. Hey Varsh, I remember, yeah. Ace Sergeant going to IndyCar? Potentially, I reckon. Yeah. Or sports cars, one of the two. He'll go racing back over in America. How long to wait till Q3? What is the time? It's 57. Probably 2 minutes time, I reckon. 2 minutes time. Red Bull dominated last season, but they are trying to dominate this year again using one car. Well, that's the thing. I think they'll lose the constructors. Look, you can't have Perez not making it. Sargent having a go about the traffic, saying it's a joke, no one moves. So, yeah, let's see. Q3, all to play for. Oh, Q3 will start at 1 minute to the hour. So less than 2 minutes, guys. Less than 2 minutes. Shout out from South Africa. Hey! Sargent out-qualifies Perez again. He does. He's increasing that lead. But Sargent just gets out-qualified by Albon again. So, but yes, at the moment we have lost Nico Hulkenberg in P11, Bottas 12th, Albon 13th, Sargent 14th, Magnussen 15th, Sergio Perez, who binned it earlier on in Q1, severe damage to the rear of that car, who brought out the red flag, is out in 16th. Russell just couldn't get a lap together in 17th. Zhou Guanyu in 18th, and the Alpines struggling, going for a real struggle at the moment in 19th and 20th. Gasly didn't even start the Silverstone Grand Prix, did he, with engine issues? I'm not entirely sure what happened this time around with the Alpine cars, but yeah, they're not evidently at the races. Double DNF for them here last year as well, so Hungary, not a good place for the Alpine team. But yeah, shout out to Ipswich Ambulance Station. Saving lives, saving lives. What are the upgrades at Merc? Only to the rear diffuser. Where can you see cars going for 25? Yeah, I think Mercedes. I think it's either Alpine or Mercedes. I think supposedly Audi is still on the table for him. I just don't think he's going to go to that car, that team. So, can Red Bull afford to get rid of Perez? Yes, Anthony. So supposedly they've put performance clauses in his contract to ensure that if he doesn't perform like now, like he has been, they can void his contract. So yeah, he supposedly didn't. The reason the contract was delayed is because he was pushing back on those performance clauses, and Red Bull were like, nah, no, we need them. So, yeah. Here we go, guys. Q3 underway. Right, let's do it. Let me know. Who's your top three in chat? Who's going to be on pole position? Is it going to be Verstappen? Is it going to be Piastri? Is it going to be Lando? Is it going to be a Ferrari? Or is it going to be Lewis Hamilton? Let me know your top three in the chat right now. We are only 12 minutes, 11 and a half minutes away to find out who is going to be on pole position for the Hungarian Grand Prix tomorrow. Lots of Verstappen, Piastri, Norris, Hamilton, Norris, Verstappen, Piastri, Lando, Oscar, Max, Lando. Interesting. See, do you know what's great about this, guys, is how many different opinions or predictions you guys have right now. At the start of the season, it would have been Max Verstappen on pole position from everyone, but now it's not. So, yeah, we're going into these qualifying sessions not knowing who's going to be the fastest car, who's going to be on pole position, and who is going to be winning the race come Sunday. So, here we go. Everyone out on... no, interestingly enough. So, Norris is on brand new softs. Verstappen, Piastri, Sainz, and Leclerc. But Alonso, Tsunoda, Stroll, and Ricciardo are all on used tyres. And Hamilton is also on a brand new set of softs as well. But lots of time for these drivers to prep these tyres for this quali lap. Not a lot of traffic out there for these drivers to contend with compared to the first two sessions. So, yeah. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. So, Max Verstappen is going to be heading down first into the first corner. It will then be Piastri, Sainz, Hamilton, Leclerc, Alonso, Tsunoda, Norris, Ricciardo, and Stroll. As Stroll moves out of the way for Max Verstappen coming through. And we'll see how they get on. So, he heads down to turn 2. Need to be careful, of course, not to lock that front right tyre, as it's off camber and can be very easy to do so. And you lose a lot of time there, as you need to keep it tight to the left to flick it into the fast third corner. So he's set at 27.5. That's round about what he's done all today in that first sector. Piastri 2 temps down already on Max in that first sector. Has Daniel Ricciardo been able to get out of the way of Max into the chicane there? We will see. So he heads through turn 9 and 10, where Hamilton had his off earlier on in FP3. Sainz also at 27.7, 2 temps down. 26.691 for Verstappen in the second sector. Not the fastest of this whole qualifying session thus far, only third fastest. Norris will have to get out of the way for Verstappen. We'll see if that compromises his lap, or will he get a cheeky little toe from Verstappen down into turn 1. Could Norris have played a blinder here? We will see. Lewis Hamilton at 27.6, so a better time from him. Second fastest out of anyone, and a 15.55 from Verstappen. That's pretty much level to what Norris set in the FP2. In Q2. 3 tenths back, Oscar Piastri. Let's see where Carlos Sainz comes across the line, and Sainz goes 6.5 tenths back of Verstappen with a 16.2. Wow, that is slow. Lewis Hamilton, not fastest in any sector, but we'll see where he goes. I think this is going to be P2 by the looks of it. And he goes P3, 3.5 tenths back, just over from Max Verstappen. So it's all going to be pretty much on Lando Norris. 27.6 flat in the first sector, slightly slower than Max, but we'll see if he can recover throughout the rest of the lap, as Piastri did set purple in the last sector, which is pretty good for him and bodes well for Lando Norris as he heads through the second sector now, and he does purple. Lando Norris purple in the middle sector. That's 3 tenths faster, 2.5 tenths faster than Max Verstappen in that middle sector. The McLaren coming alive in the last 2 sectors here, it seems, as he heads to the last corner. It's all about the traction, that front grip turning to rear grip as he gets on throttle out of turn 14, and he goes provisional pole by 3 tenths of a second, a whopping 3 tenths of a second over Max Verstappen, and 6 tenths over his teammate Charles Leclerc, and 7 tenths over the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. Unbelievable lap there from Lando Norris. Wow. That car just came absolutely alive in the middle and last sector. Wow. Unbelievable from him. Lance Stroll is currently coming across the line now. Where can he put his Aston Martin? And he goes P8. So at the moment, it is Lando Norris on provisional pole, guys, from Max Verstappen, 3 tenths back. Oscar Piastri, 6 tenths back, over 6 tenths back, actually, from his teammate in P1. 3 tenths back from Verstappen. Charles Leclerc, surprisingly doing well there in P4. Hamilton in P5. Alonso in P6. Sainz in 7th. Stroll in 8th. Tsunoda 9th. And Ricciardo in 10th. Wow. What a lap from Lando. What a lap. Can Max Verstappen make up 3 tenths? I don't think he can. I think on average, single lap pace from what we've seen from the quali runs through practice, Max has been around 2 to 3 tenths back of the McLaren of Lando. Oscar Piastri, not sure if he made a mistake somewhere. I do expect him to be a bit closer. I think this could be an all front row lockout for the McLaren. I'm still going to go for that. I think Lando Norris is going to be, I don't see anyone beating that lap time. I actually see Lando probably beating his own time there. Verstappen, I think, is fighting for P2 here. I do think Piastri will improve. Hamilton, I did say it before, I think the Mercedes of Lewis will be happy to be on the second row if he can get into P4. Just not quite able to heat those tyres up correctly. Maybe he needs that extra outlap. We'll see if they take a different approach in this last run. But we are only just over 5 minutes away to find out if that will be the case, as Oscar Piastri getting out there early. This time, no late shenanigans from the McLaren team. We saw what happened at Silverstone. Just watching Oscar Piastri's lap, and yeah, Oscar Piastri getting quite a bit of getting a lot of snap of through the first sector. He had through the first corner, actually his rear got quite happy, but yeah, we could see Hamilton out there early as well. Piastri, Sainz, Verstappen. It'd be interesting. I mean, if they got enough time to do a second outlap, I'd be interested to know if that is the case. But a lot of drivers here with a lot to improve on. I know Lando's done a great time there, but I still don't see the Mercedes and the McLaren and the Ferrari being 6 tenths, 7 tenths back of Lando Norris. I do expect that to get under half a second, but Lando looks very much in control here with that McLaren. It looks a very good package here this weekend, guys. Remember back in 1997 when Hill nearly won the race in an Arrows. McLaren is a rocket ship. Yeah, looks good, looking good. This kind of track will suit Lando, as he was very good at karting, and this track is like a karting track. Yeah, I do say it's just like a big karting track, don't they? Is it raining? No, it's not raining. No, it's not raining. But let's see. So Oscar Piastri is going to be starting his flying lap here, you would assume, unless he is going to do a second lap. It's quite early for these drivers to be out there and doing another lap. It is quite early, so I wonder if they're going to do, or maybe they think rain is on the way. So let's see. Oscar Piastri, as he heads down into the first corner, needs to improve here, of course. Last time out, he had a bit of a tank swapper out of turn 1. So let's see if he improves through the first sector down into turn 2. Daniel Ricciardo will be in the way, but I'm sure he'll swiftly move over to the side to allow the flying McLaren past into turn 4. So yeah, weather forecast is indicating that rain could potentially be on the way. So that's why we're seeing drivers out there a bit earlier than normal. As Piastri goes fastest in the first sector out of anyone, a 27.5, a massive improvement for Oscar Piastri. He's quicker than his teammate in that first sector by a good tenth of a second, but Carlos Sainz takes it away from him. These drivers are improving here at the end of this qualifying session. Hamilton improving as well with a 27.5. So these drivers are improving. So Lando Norris, his time might be under threat here. We'll see if that is the case throughout the remainder of this lap, as Oscar Piastri does a 26.4. He's only just behind his teammate's time in the second sector. Oscar Piastri has been fastest out of anyone pretty much throughout the whole weekend here in this last sector. He loves it. Could he snap pole position away from his teammate? No, he goes P2, fastest in the last sector by 0.02 of a second. How about Lewis Hamilton? He's doing quite well also, but he's at a slow middle sector, which has cost him. He only goes up to P4, so that second row is under threat for Lewis Hamilton. That middle sector has cost him. But Max Verstappen, fastest in the first sector, going nicely in the second as well. Hamilton pushed down to 5th by Carlos Sainz, who goes up into P4. Charles Leclerc is out and will still have a lap time to set. Max Verstappen, where can he go? Can he go up into P1? No, and there's a yellow flag. Yuki Tsunoda is out. It is currently a front row for Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, and no one is going to improve here, barring Charles Leclerc into that P1. It's a red flag. Yuki Tsunoda has lost control of the car, and it is going to be, no doubt, a pole position for Lando Norris. A front row lockout for the McLaren drivers, Norris and Piastri, as Max couldn't improve there. 0.04 of a second between the top three drivers, you can see. 0.02 of a second from Max Verstappen to Piastri. Carlos Sainz in P4, Hamilton in P5, and it was only Daniel Ricciardo. Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc who didn't set, Alonso and Stroll who didn't set a second lap there. But Yuki Tsunoda has brought out the red flag from losing control of the car. He is in P9 and, well, of course, qualifying, it does stop. It does stop with the red flag, unlike practice where the timer doesn't tick down. So there is potential for these drivers to get back out there and do another outlap if they want. And, oh, Yuki has proper binned it. Yuki has that RB car is not in a good way, guys. The rear of the car looks in piece. Well, the rear wings hanging off. The front left looks pretty battered as well. And Yuki Tsunoda pushing on through turn 5. The car, the understeer, really does push the car to the exit of that turn 5 corner there, and I bet you he's dipped a wheel in the grass or on the white line, that slippery white line, and has lost control of the rear. But yes, Yuki Tsunoda brings out the red flag. Norris, I don't think Charles Leclerc is going to improve on this lap. I don't think, well, unless Daniel Ricciardo has a jet engine strapped to the rear of that RB car, I don't think anyone's going to be taking pole position away from Lando Norris. But so tight there. So let's have a look. Yuki Tsunoda, as he heads through turn 4, all under control here as he heads into turn 5. And you can see, gets on power. Oh, he's all over the curb. Oh my God, the car launched into the air as he went over the curb. On throttle too early, ran over the curb on the exit, and the car went up. Put a proper wheelie, and that left side of that RB car is battered, absolutely battered. I think that's the best description I can say of that RB car. But I think the likes of Alonso, Stroll, and Ricciardo will potentially go out there and try and get another lap in to see if they can improve, and Charles Leclerc also. It's not going to be ideal for them, but 2 minutes is still enough for them to get round and prep their tyres. So I do think we're still going to have some laps here. I don't think Charles Leclerc has 6 attempts in him or 7 attempts in him to put that Ferrari on pole position, but he definitely has enough to potentially push him ahead of Carlos Sainz, force Hamilton down another position further down on that third row. And, well, yeah, the Aston Martins as well, and Ricciardo. Ricciardo looking to capitalise on what has been another poor weekend already from Sergio Perez out in Q1. Very, very under pressure with his seat. No doubt, I think that's the nail in the coffin for him. So unacceptable what he did earlier on. But unless the rain comes in, unless there is rain, but yeah, arrives. So Tsunoda is okay. Yeah, he's absolutely fine. He is fine. So I think Oscar and Lando are very close in qualifying. Yeah, we'll see tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow's going to be interesting because Piastri, we know his weakness is tyre management. Unless it rains tomorrow, let's see how he copes. Has he improved? Tomorrow's going to be a true barometer of whether Piastri is kind of improved on that tyre management. So hopefully we get one more lap to see if Stroll carries Alonso again. I think we will. I mean, you can see... looks like Charles Leclerc. I can see markers of Charles Leclerc and Ricciardo moving there in the pit lane. So... I mean, Carlos Sainz is moving, unless that's just delayed, and he's going to go for another run as well. I don't know if these drivers have another set of tyres available to them. Oscar's manager Webber is going to love this, yeah. Can Lando turn this to a win? Well, we'll see. We'll see. Of course, Lando's been pretty poor off the start, isn't he, recently? So, yeah. But I've said before, the only way you learn is from mistakes and by continuing to put yourself in those situations. As long as you continue to put yourself in those situations, you can then learn from your mistakes and rectify that the next time around. And that's what Lando keeps doing. So, yeah. Give that Red Bull seat to Alonso only if they want sponsor money and personality. I'd love to see that. That'd be very interesting. Are they going to do one more flying? I think they will, unless the weather comes down, unless it starts to rain. I think we'll see those drivers like Ricciardo, the two Aston Martins and Leclerc go for another. Maybe we'll see Hamilton. I mean, unless he's got another set of tyres and he thinks he might go and improve. Maybe we'll see these drivers get round and go for one more, but they need to be careful because 2 minutes left, prepping those tyres. But Hamilton made a big boo-boo in the middle sector. To put that in perspective, Hamilton's middle sector was half a second down. That 26.8 was half a second down on Lando's and Piastri. So, yeah, not good. Not good by Lewis. So, tomorrow will be an interesting race. Yeah, definitely. Stroll should fire his kid and pick up signs. All Spanish team. Lando's going to be on pole, I feel, given... Yeah, Max is out of the car. So he's not going again. Sargent isn't any better. No, Sargent's going to be out, I think, in the middle of this season. Oh, so Oscar Piastri, they're all at the end of the pit lane. Lando Norris is at the end of the pit lane. Oscar Piastri, Lewis Hamilton, they are all sitting at the end of the pit lane. They are going to restart the session. All the drivers... barring Max Verstappen. So Oscar, they've said to McLaren has said to Piastri, we do think others will race you on this lap, but we do want to start this lap. Daniel Ricciardo's out there. Aston Martin is out there. The Ferrari is out there. I can't see if both Ferraris are out there. But it's still busy. It's still busy. With 2 minutes, 13 seconds remaining, it is still a busy circuit. And Lando Norris is at the front of that track. Max Verstappen is out of the car. He's not going for it again. He is going to be too far down the line, shall we say, the traffic jam, to really get round in 2 minutes 13, because these drivers no doubt are going to back up at the end of the first sector to get a lap time in. So why was Hamilton slow in sector 2? I don't know. Probably just maybe took too much curb for the chicane. Maybe got a snap of oversteer. Yeah, not entirely sure, but he was 4 tenths down on, or half a second down on Lando Norris's middle sector time. So yeah, that's where a lot of that time is pretty much in the middle sector. Rain expected in 5 minutes' time is what they've just reported to Lando. Ooh, I think the second Red Bull seat is cursed because Perez is a nice guy and could be cooking his day. No, I don't think it's cursed. I just think it's... no one's shown any pace relative to Max to warrant a certain point in development where it gears more towards Max than it does warrant like fair treatment in essence. I say fair treatment. Like there comes a point in the season where if you've got one driver who's more dominant than the other, and especially is fighting for championships, the development gears more towards favouring that driver and the style that they like to drive in, and that's just makes sense from a sporting perspective. So yeah, that's the case with any team where the likes of Ferrari and the likes of Mercedes kind of have two even performing drivers, same as McLaren as well, whereas Max has always been so dominant. He's warranted that prioritization of himself. So yeah, can Sauber get their first points of the season this race? Unless there's a lot of DNFs, no. Just turn on what happened. Why is there a red flag? Yuki Tsunoda. Fernando Alonso isn't lining up again. So Fernando Alonso, and it's green. There we go. Track is clear. Track is clear. No doubt we're going to get green flag very, very soon. 2 minutes 13. It's a busy pit lane. Q3 will resume at 21 minutes past. That is 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And Lando has pole position, and he is at the front of this train. So, of course, there could be penalties here. As Oscar Piastri has just been informed, we don't want you to do anything silly. So it is currently Lando, then Lewis, then Piastri, then Ricciardo lined up in the pit lane at the moment. So let's see. 2 minutes 13. Plenty of time for these drivers to get round and start their last lap. Thanks for the commentary from Ipswich. All the best, man. All the best, one. Have a good shift. Have a good shift. We'll be back tomorrow as well for the race. 2 o'clock. We'll be live 45 minutes before the race starts, so we can have a pre-race chat. You know, look at the strategies, look at the tyre allocations, the predictions, any news that has occurred overnight as well. Yeah, and see who you guys are going to think is going to win this race tomorrow. Do I think Mercedes came back from the dark days? I think so. Yeah, definitely made an improvement. Definitely made an improvement. Yuki literally flew that car and gave him the... He did get some airtime. He did get some... Am I hungry, Stuffeyy? Hey. But yes, guys, here we go. So please hit that like button if you can. That'd be much appreciated. 359 likes. Let's get this stream to 500 likes, shall we? There's 2,000 of you here in the stream. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Lando Norris is currently on pole position. Piastri is second. Lewis Hamilton wants to improve. He potentially can improve. So let's see. Rain is on its way. Thank you for all the subs flying in as well. Thank you, guys. I see that number at the top right hand of your screen shooting up. Can Hulkenberg improve positions? He is in the top 5. Yeah, I think he can improve. I think he would be thinking, I can definitely fight those Aston Martins and the 2 RB cars. Yeah, I think definitely he can do tomorrow. Red Bull's budget drank some. Not long, guys, not long. So DRS is enabled. Session is about to get underway. Less than a minute now. Few seconds until track is green. We have the green light and it will be go. 2 minutes 13 for these drivers to get round and start their lap. Rain is supposedly on the way. It should be here round about now. Lots of drivers still looking to improve. Ricciardo didn't set a lap, only on used tyres. Stroll and Alonso also didn't set lap, but Alonso is out of the car already. Max Verstappen is already out of the car, and it is green light. Here we go. No doubt they're going to be going slow here as Norris trundles down the end of the pit lane here. But they can't go too slow because otherwise there will be penalties dished out. So Lewis Hamilton as well also forming a gap here. And, oh, they're going so slow. Drivers are going to be risking some penalties here with how slow they go out of the pit lane. So we will see. But no doubt, I don't think everyone's going to be able to get round a lap here and set a time. At HUNGARIAN, the green light is on and they are away going. Yes, so just reading a message from my friend Karim, if you're watching. Happy buddy. What did you say about Red Bull? The Red Bull and Lambiase race engineer are salty, telling Max go out, get a time without a tow. You haven't got a tow because your teammate is shit and Red Bull don't want to give you a competitive one. Yeah. I see that. I see that. So, right, here we go. 1 minute. Are these drivers going to get round and set a lap? I don't think they will. Norris, Hamilton is probably just about going to be able to set a lap. Lando Norris definitely will be able to go again. He's on used tyres. Lewis Hamilton also on used tyres as well. But we have seen used tyres go quicker than fresh tyres because they are easier to get temperature in them. So here we go, guys. Here we go. Lando Norris is round the last corner. He is currently in pole position. There's 30 seconds remaining. Stroll is racing Leclerc and Sainz as they head down into the last sector. Lewis Hamilton has another opportunity to improve here. Let's see how he gets on. And after the red flag coming out for Yuki Tsunoda, we have one more qualifying lap. Lando Norris, can he improve on a time? He's already set a 15.22. Piastri gets across the line. It looks like every driver, barring Carlos Sainz, is going to get across the line here. Charles Leclerc just gets across the line before the checkered flag comes out. As Lando doesn't improve in the first sector, how about Lewis Hamilton? Does he go green? That's what we need to see from Lewis in that first sector. A 26.673, so not that much slower than the lap time previously that he set, but of course he was so much slower in that middle sector. Lewis Hamilton, is he going to be able to improve? Oscar Piastri doesn't improve in that middle sector either. I think Lando here is not going to be able to improve, that's for sure, because he's on a set of softs. It was more so strategic to ensure that no one else would be able to challenge him on that pole position. Lewis Hamilton, does he go green in that middle sector? A 26.9 for Lewis. Once again, super slow in that middle sector for Lewis Hamilton. Not a good lap time. He needs to improve 1.5 tenths on Carlos Sainz to get on the second row. It's all about this last sector for Lewis Hamilton. He's on a set of used tyres. As Lando Norris dives into the pit lane because he's not improving, he's on pole position, and Lewis Hamilton doesn't improve. A 1.16.2, just not enough left in those tyres for him to be able to improve on his lap. Lance Stroll, Daniel Ricciardo is improving. Here he comes round the last corner. Where can Daniel Ricciardo put himself? Ahead of Yuki Tsunoda into P9. Lance Stroll dives into the pit lane, also isn't improving. Charles Leclerc also not improving. None of them had any fresh set of tyres left to use, and they weren't improving there. But Daniel Ricciardo, the only driver to improve on that last lap dash there into P9. Lewis Hamilton will start 5th. A poor showing from him, really, in that qualifying session. 6 tenths back from Lando. But it is a front row lockout for the McLaren drivers. Lando Norris in P1, Oscar Piastri P2, Max Verstappen in P3, only losing out by 0.04 of a second still to Lando in P1. And Carlos Sainz lines up on the second row in P4. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc in 5th and 6th on the third row tomorrow. Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll, and all 4th row for Aston Martin. And then the 5th row is Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo in 9th and 10th. A lot of work to be done on that RB car, though. He took a fair whack. The whole left side of that car of Yuki Tsunoda was battered. So the engineers will have a long night ahead of them to repair that car. Nico Hülkenberg in 11th, Bottas in 12th, Albon and Sargent in 13th and 14th, Magnussen in 15th. Sergio Perez, the most under pressure driver in F1 at the moment, binned it in Q1 and is subsequently out of Q1 in 16th. George Russell unable to set a decent lap time in P17, Zhou Guanyu in 18th, and the back row is locked out by the 2 Alpines, Ocon and Gasly, who are having a shocking weekend. And that is your grid for the Hungarian Grand Prix tomorrow, guys. We'll be live 45 minutes before the race starts for our pre-race chat for strategy options, tyre allocations, and no doubt some news that will occur overnight before the race starts. But yes, that has been qualifying, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. But Lando, I did predict, didn't I, in the end, a front row lockout for the McLaren team. Lando has been very good all weekend thus far. Very good. So, yeah, P1 for him, Piastri P2. But once again, Max Verstappen doing wonderful things in that Red Bull car. Not quite at the races, but still less than half a tenth separating him and pole position. Yeah, just doing wonderful things in that car while his teammate is just sticking it in the wall. Verstappen takes the lead into turn 1. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It will be interesting because, of course, Lando, he now has his teammate lining up alongside him, not Max Verstappen. So we'll see. We'll see if he's We'll see if he leads down into the first corner, and of course, if he's able to manage this race tomorrow. He has the pace. He is I would say he's the fastest car here this weekend, definitely. And yeah, I think it's his to lose tomorrow, to be honest with you. So, Verstappen, Norris, Piastri, predictions for tomorrow. Ooh. Who said Max will not win? He will surely win. Potentially, yeah. I mean, look, never write Max off when he's that close. Never write him off. So, was it all a lie in Silverstone? No, I don't think it was a lie. I think, look, the Mercedes could come alive again tomorrow in a race scenario. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Lewis does wonderful things on the tyres, as we know. I don't know what his long runs were like, but yeah, I think it'd be a bit gutted he wasn't starting on the second row, Lewis, but anything's possible. Anything's possible. The fact Piastri beat Verstappen to P2 is huge for McLaren strategically. It is. But what will be huge for them strategically is if Piastri and Norris are 1-2 at the end of the first lap. That will be, or the end of this, once the DRS comes out, basically. That's what will be strategically important for it. Or if employees should be given time in the simulator, what do I think? For what reason? Mercedes looked poor today. Yeah, I mean, the corner conditions were better for Lewis, but when push came to shove at the end, just didn't have the pace. He did make a mistake in the middle sector. I do think he's slower than the McLarens, the Mercedes. I do think it's faster than the Ferraris. I think Lewis would be hoping for a podium. An outside chance of a podium tomorrow is what Lewis would be hoping for. He'll be hoping that he'll be able to do some wonders on strategy. But it's not 6/10 slower than the McLaren and the Red Bull. It's not. It's just Lewis made a mistake in the middle sector that was half a second slow, which lost him half a second, 4/10 over Norris and Piastri and Verstappen. So, yeah, he's probably about 2/10 slower than Norris and Piastri, which is still a lot of time. It's still a lot of time, but come in the race tomorrow on different tyres, we'll see. We'll see. Who's got better race pace between the top runners? So the McLarens and the Red Bull look, from what I've seen from data, it looks like McLaren and Red Bull are very even. I didn't see anything in regards to Mercedes and Ferrari, but yeah, it's definitely the front three. Unless something happens mechanically or incident-wise, I expect them to be fighting it out for the win tomorrow. I don't expect Sainz or Hamilton or Leclerc to win. I think there would need an Austria-type situation for them to win. So, or like a red flag situation for them to get track position. So, Danny Brick 100% getting that RBC. If he converts points tomorrow, I think he's definitely put himself. He just needs 2 solid races. I don't think, and I've said it a number of times this stream already, but I just don't think Yuki's going to get that seat. I just don't think, while he's there at RB next year, I don't think Red Bull see Yuki as part of the Red Bull system. He's there purely for the Honda connection, which is a real shame because I think Yuki deserves a chance in that seat. I mean, he hasn't. Do you know Yuki hasn't even had a test drive in the Red Bull car? His first drive of a top team car was at Goodwood Festival of Speed last week. He took Sergio Perez's car up the hill. That's the first time he's been actually in the Red Bull car. He's never had a test for him, whereas Liam Lawson has, Daniel Ricciardo has. So, yeah. Pole position Norris can't win a race, P6 Norris can. We'll see. Simulator could give better understanding of driver's experience. Yeah, potentially. I think it helps, but I don't think it's necessary. I think most people have eyes and most people know what they want to see from racing. And you just need to be able to, like the stewards just need to be able to implement it. I think we can all see when people are doing things untoward. And I don't think, yes, the skill level of driving an F1 car is very high. But I don't think understanding driving and understanding racing is difficult whatsoever. And being able to implement the rules, I don't think it should be difficult either. So, can I see Yuki Gan Aston Martin? I would have said yes. However, Alonso has signed a 2-year extension. If it was a 1-year extension, then maybe. But look, Stroll's never going anywhere unless he decides to leave under his own accord or his dad sells the team. I don't know where Yuki will end up. I don't know. I think he deserves to be on the grid, though. So it's good he's on the grid for next year at RB, but that's a placeholder, in my opinion. I think he'll be looking for somewhere else, and I think Red Bull will let him go next year. So, yep, see you tomorrow, James. Sargent probably a skill share, definitely. Sainz isn't getting into the Red Bull seat unless Max leaves. So Merc, yes, exactly. Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if Hamilton dominates on race day, second prime. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know what their race pace is. If they've got good race pace, then yeah, there's potential for Lewis to get a decent result tomorrow. But I do see the front three being a cut above the rest this weekend. So, yeah. The Green Red Bull won't take Carlos yet. I don't care. Carlos should get it. Yeah, look, the reason he's not going there is because I've been highly informed by former Red Bull employee that Sainz and Verstappen, Josh Verstappen, they physically cannot stand each other. Hands were thrown when they were teammates in the past, and that hasn't got any better. Of course, they're on different teams now. But yeah, Red Bull have said, no, we're not having you two together in the same team. So I hear Aston Martin's going into World Endurance Championship, so maybe Stroll can go there instead. That's always been the discussion, Vom, but I think he'll just forever stay in F1. So I've also got it. I've also, from the same employee actually, he said, yeah, Lance Stroll actually doesn't want to be in F1. He does it because of his dad. There's been a number of stories where Lance Stroll has had proper full-on arguments with his dad in the paddock, saying, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. I don't want to fucking do it. You want me to do this. Like, literally those arguments. So Stroll is not... Lance Stroll isn't there because of himself. He's there because of his dad. So, yeah. McLaren versus Max, as it should be. Yeah, I mean, look, never write Max off. We've seen him do wonderful things in an underperforming Red Bull car. Imola, Montreal. So, yeah. If Aston is serious, they drop Stroll and put in Yuki. Yeah, but look, it's Daddy Stroll's team, isn't it? So he's never going to let his son... He's living like vicariously... I think he's living vicariously through his son, even though he's a billionaire, but like, his son's quick enough. He's forced his son into driving. He's gave him so much support to help it and favoritism to get to where he is. And look, Stroll is skillful. He's in F1 at the end of the day. And he is skillful and he's had some decent results. He's just not on that top level of what we want to see from other drivers or other drivers who have missed out on opportunities in the past. And that's what frustrates us. So, not enough of those two big egos at RB. Yeah, exactly. Does this explain why Sainz has trouble getting a top dog seat? What, because of his dad? No, Sainz has struggled to get a top seat just because of how the timing of it has fallen. So McLaren have secured their team. Red Bull have secured their seats. Of course, we've just said reason why he won't go to Red Bull. And then he's leaving a top team already. So the only team that's free is Mercedes. But then Mercedes already have George Russell. And then they've been and ahhing about their own young prodigy because they're like, okay, well, maybe we want to take a different approach to our second seat. We want to look to the future rather than bring in someone who's already on the grid. And that's what they've been toying with. But supposedly, Antonelli might not be in. They've had a change of heart, and they've gone. Actually, we're gonna. The betterment for your. It's better for your development if you stay in F2 for another year. So I think they've been. I think it's been quite publicly known that they wanted to get Antonelli into Williams, take the George Russell route, where he's in Williams for like a year or so or a couple of years. But James Vowles has said no. With respect, I don't want a driver. I'm looking for my long-term future. I don't want a driver who's going to be leaving within a year, 2 years time. I want someone who's going to be there, kind of for the long term, who can help develop the team and the car. I think they want two experienced drivers now, rather than a younger driver, which is why they've courted Sainz, but Sainz has decided against joining them. So, and Lance's lack of accountability does hurt too. Yeah, exactly. So I think part of the Honda deal for Aston Martin was bringing Yuki in. Yeah. I mean, look, who knows? He may end up. It's not the right thing, but he may end up going to Aston Martin as a reserve driver for the year that Alonso's there. Alonso then retires and Yuki is then in the seat afterwards. But you want to be on the grid. There's never a guarantee once you lose a seat you're ever going to get back on the grid. So that's why he stayed at RB, because there's no other seat really available for him. F1 is crying out for new blood. I couldn't agree more, Peter. That's why it's refreshing to see Ollie Behrman next year. I think even if Antonelli was on the grid, it'd be great to see Antonelli on the grid as well. Think of how many good drivers we've had, like, fall for the cracks and not make it through into F1. Because we've had Stroll stay around for too long. We've had Ricciardo come back. We've had Kevin Magnussen come back. Hulkenberg come back. Now, don't get me wrong. Hulkenberg has proven me wrong. But you could arguably say, well, he's had his time. He's done over like 300 Grand Prix without a podium. And he arguably was very fortunate to come back into F1. And fortunate to be able to have those flash in the pan opportunities as a reserve driver to show that he can still do it and be a solid pair of hands. But I think without those reserve drive opportunities as a super sub, I don't think Hulkenberg will be back in F1. So Alonso, arguably you could say, had his time. But he's proven age is just a number and his talent has shone through. And when he's got a car underneath him, he puts in very good performances. So yeah, it's great to see some young drivers coming through and be given an opportunity. Supposedly as well, the Red Bull are looking to promote Isaac Hadjar into the RBC, the RB team next year. So Isaac Hadjar, no, sorry, not next year, 2026, I think. Next year, maybe next year. Yeah, they might be looking at letting Yuki go. I don't know. There's talk that Isaac Hadjar is basically going to be the next new driver in RB. Like after Lawson. I say new because Lawson's been in RB already. But yeah, Isaac, because he's doing well in F2. I think he's his second year in F2 as well. So he's leading it, isn't he? I don't know the results today, but... Sainz is going to Alpine. I think it's Alpine or Mercedes. I think he's trying to hold on to Mercedes and see what's going to happen there. But I think we're going to get a lot of answers over the summer break. Yeah, I think that's normally when things happen. So we've still got one more race, haven't we, next week at Spa. The new Max Verstappen, Isaac. He's doing well. He's doing well. He's very hot-headed as well, isn't he, Isaac? Very hot-headed. He's always shouting over the radio. Hulk's the right type of teammate for a rookie, a good benchmark driver. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Crazy how millions dream for F1 seat who are talented, but we have some craps in F1. Makes me feel like it. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's always ruled by that. It's always ruled by that. So, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Perez will still be in an F1 seat because of the money that he brings. I mean, Perez, we've said it a number of times on this stream and this channel. Perez will be in F1 because of how much money he brings to a team. He's probably the second most supported driver in the world behind Lewis. I would say Lewis, I think that's fair. Lewis Hamilton is the most supported driver in the world. And then you would think it's Max Verstappen, or you think it would be Charles Leclerc or Lando. No, Sergio Perez is probably top 2 most supported drivers in the world. And he brings a shed load of sponsors, a shed load of cash to back him. And any midfield team will snap him up because of it. So, Isaac is a crybaby in radio. Yeah, I have seen that. He's quite a bit, isn't he? So, Andretti already stated they would have American-only lineup. They won't fix driver issues. No, I think they would try to bring in an American driver. I think having an all-American driver lineup is probably the wrong approach. You want the best people for the job. I wouldn't be against having an American driver on the grid. I think there's some good drivers. Maybe an IndyCar who deserve an opportunity. Pato O'Ward has done quite a bit of testing, hasn't he? He's looked pretty sharp. He's young as well. And then, who was the other one? I can't remember. Colton Herta was always thrown about. But I don't think Colton Herta's really kind of like set IndyCar alight. So, Alex Palou, yeah, he's done testing as well. So, Danny Rick back to Red Bull and Lawson in RB after summer break. I suspect that's what will happen, Jamie. Yeah, that's now in the coffin for me today. That's now in the coffin for Sergio Perez's seat. Yeah. And they'll use this spin from Yuki. They'll use this spin today as a reason why he won't get in won't be promoted to the seat. They'll go, well, yeah, you also lost it in qualifying. So Yuki unfortunately hasn't helped his own situation by losing it there in Q3. He's got to Q3 anyway, which is great, but they'll go, well, Ricciardo didn't spin it. So Yuki needs to beat Ricciardo tomorrow comfortably to be able to kind of knock on Christian Horner's door on Monday and go, here I am. So, but yeah, guys, that is it. That is it for this qualifying session. So let's run through the grid one more time, shall we, for the Hungarian Grand Prix tomorrow. So it's Lando Norris from Oscar Piastri, an all McLaren front row. We then have Verstappen in P3, only 0.04 of a second, less than half a tenth behind the McLarens there. Well, behind Norris. He was 0.02 of a second behind Piastri. Sainz in P4, Hamilton in P5, Leclerc in 6th, Alonso 7th, Stroll 8th, Ricciardo in 9th, and Yuki in 10th. Hulkenberg in 11th, Bottas in 12th, Albon in 13th, Sargent 14th, Magnussen 15th, Perez 16th, Russell 17th, Zhou 18th, Ocon 19th, and Gasly 20th. And that, guys, is the grid for tomorrow. Palou is Spanish, yeah, he is, yeah. Perez and Rick are 2nd and 4th on the sponsorship money they bring with them, ignoring Stroll. Yes, exactly. And I think that's why. And also, you have to think about a dynamic with Max. They want to keep Max. There's lots of rumours of Max potentially looking at Mercedes. And yeah, they want to keep their star boy happy. And that's why Perez was re-signed. But they can't sit there and justify Perez's performance, him being down in 16th. So, who's the next best person to get on with Max? Danny Ricciardo. Danny Ricciardo, you would think, would be a step up from Perez. So, yeah, I think that's why he'll be. That's why I think it'll be Danny Rick. So, but yes, there we go, guys. There we go. So, interesting tomorrow. I think it's Lando's to lose, personally. McLaren have ballsed up their strategy in the past, haven't they? So we'll see how they play out tomorrow. We know Red Bull are very proactive when it comes to their strategy. They're very bold in that regard. So, yeah, but McLaren have 2 drivers, depending on what happens at the start, but they have 2 drivers to utilise against Max Verstappen tomorrow, rather than just the one. So, but I think it's going to get spicy. It's going to be spicy again tomorrow, so let's see what happens. I don't know what the weather forecast is like. Maybe there'll be a bit of rain to add even more spiciness to it. But let's see what happens. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me today for this qualifying session. We'll be live tomorrow, 45 minutes before the race starts. So 1:15 UK time. Race starts at 2 o'clock. So turn your notifications on. You'll be alerted to my stream going live half an hour before it does. And I'm going to go set up the stream now so that you guys can go bookmark it, leave it open in your browser. And yeah, we'll have a look at the strategy options for tomorrow, the tyre allocations, and have a chit chat about our predictions before the race. So yeah, thanks guys. Have a lovely rest of your afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And if you can hit that like button, 462 likes. Let's get this stream to 500 likes. Surely there's 38 of you who haven't hit the like button. Be much appreciated. And continue to hit that subscribe button if you have been following this channel and haven't done so yet. Yeah, it just helps continue to build and push this stream and channel forward in the right direction. So yeah, have a lovely rest of your Saturday, and we'll catch you tomorrow 45 minutes before the race starts at 1:15 UK time. See you guys. Bye.